Good morning, everyone. Sound check. Okay, good morning, Large Boyd. Happy Tuesday. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Delphine. Checking in from Paris. Lovely, lovely. Thank you for checking in, guys. All right, good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. New day, fresh start. Welcome to Pitbull Traders Morning Game Plan. I'm your host, Manny. The purpose of this show is simple: live futures trading, real-time technical analysis, and actionable trade setups, all with the focus on building the real trading skills and mindset designed to drive consistent profitability. Every morning we come in with the same goal: to build out the structure before the open so that we're operating in alignment with the day's dominant forces. Not guessing, not chasing. All right, team, let's map it out. Let's get after it. We're going to start, as we do every morning, with our higher time frame analysis. And for that, we're going to dial into the left-hand chart, which is our 4-hour chart, the place where I start my analysis every morning. And so now I get to do it with all you folks, and that's excellent. Makes me very, very happy. Okay, so we're going to put on a full 24-hour chart of the 4-hour time frame. We're looking at ES. That's the chart on the left. Let's blow that out a little bit more so that we can get a better view. Let me just double check with my phone. Okay, we're looking good there. We're looking good. Excellent. All right. All right, team. So we're dialing into the 4-hour time frame, and immediately what we have to point out is that, okay, so we put in the high at 75.40, I believe it was. Yeah, with to the tick, round number. That's odd, right? That you don't see that very often, where a significant high is an actual round number. Okay, so since we put in the high at 75.40, which was back on the 14th of May, it was just last week, actually, on Thursday. Okay, and then Friday we had the kind of the pullback, or the over 1.5% liquidation break. What stands out to me immediately, just looking at the 4-hour time frame, I went ahead and I put on a 50-period moving average. I'm going to go ahead and take off this. Oh no, let's leave that on. There was a reason it was there. As you can see, I added another moving average. And simply because at this point, we're kind of running into a little bit of an issue where, because we went parabolic on the move from the 63.53 March 30th Artemis move to the moon low, right? We're kind of running out of structure. It's really hard to find any type of reference other than a couple of moving averages, and then also as well as some market profile, volume profile structures, which we won't get into right now. We're just going to keep it really basic, and then we're going to get into the 15-minute time frame, map out how we're going to attack this day. Okay, so immediately on the 4-hour time frame, what we can see here, right, is that what stands out to me. So I put a 50-period moving average on it, again, just for some structure, just to see what was below us. Okay, and you can see that we are chopping right in front of it, right above it. Okay, let me just see where the 50 is going to be on the daily. Okay, yeah, so it's way down here at 71.10. When you have these kind of these parabolic moves higher, it's either you're going to get a sharp pullback, okay, which would be indicative of a different type of market, right? So if we weren't experiencing this AI boom, if we were in more of a volatile two-way tape, I would think that the probability of a sharper retracement would be in store. But since we've been trending really for the last few years, since COVID, and even furthermore since 2023, it's just been a trending market. It's been a bull market, and so we're looking at here at the 50-period moving average, and just for a little bit of structure. And what stands out to me right away is that, okay, so we have the pullback from the 75.40 low, high that was put in last Thursday. And immediately what stands out is that we have kind of this balance area starting to form. Okay, so immediately we have this kind of this balance area that we're going to frame out here, and it looks like the high of that area could be 74.50 down to 73.75, 74.50 being yesterday's high. All right, so let's be mindful of that. That's our distribution right now. That's our structure to work with. We're currently slightly below the 50-period moving average. Now, just mapping out what are some of the potential outcomes, I'm going to go ahead and put on a regular trading hours only chart because I want to show you where that gray rectangle comes from. Okay, and that gray rectangle comes from this gap that was made. We gapped up on May 6th. Okay, we opened at 73.38 and we gapped over. We left a significant gap. The top of that gap gets filled at 7,300. Okay, so a couple of scenarios that could play out. After this, if we see a break of this higher time frame balance area and price comes down, one thing we could do is set a trap trade. Let's just let me put this on a smaller time frame so we can really dial into it. Okay. All right. So one potential outcome, if we break out of this balance area here and price sells lower, if we do get the break lower and price retraces, right, we could use this kind of the lower end of this balance area as our resistance point / reference, and we get a move lower, then immediately what we're going to start looking at is that the low of the gap. Okay, and that low being is 73.27. A couple of potential outcomes here is that we look into the gap, fail, put in a higher low, and then get back above the 73.75 low for a retracement back into this balance area. Another outcome would be that we break the low, we trade down into the gap. Okay, and we find support, buyers show up, we start putting in a higher low, and then we start working our way higher. Okay, so let's just frame those references out. That's 7,300 for the full gap fill, and where the look below and fail would materialize is below 73.27. It's tight. It's 27 points. We'll have to really be on our toes. If ES is selling really fast, it'll probably get there quickly. And then if we start to see a pause at 7,300, maybe it dips in a little bit, but ultimately sellers run out of steam, then at that point, we're going to start looking at that as support. All right. All right. So that's our higher time frame look. Let's get a little bit more granular. Let's look at the 15-minute chart. We're going to do as we do every morning. We're going to map out the most bullish argument. We're going to map out the most bearish argument. And then we're going to talk about a couple of trap trade ideas and see how the day might unfold. Okay. Wait. All right. So on the left-hand chart, we're going to map out the most bullish argument. On the right-hand chart, we'll map out the most bearish argument, and then we'll see. We'll cover the dreaded sideways move. Okay. So the most bullish argument. Say we're opening at 73.87. We're currently testing the low of that balance area. Currently, the overnight low is 73.54. We're already below it, 73.83. Heads up. Okay, so if we look, if price comes here and we open and we get a move higher, immediately what we have to do is use that reference at 7,400 to 74.05. We want to see price get through there with strength and momentum. If we do get through there with strength and momentum, at that point, on any pullback, we'll be gauging that band 7,400 to call it 74.05 for entries on pullbacks that will get us into long trades for a target at a gap fill at yesterday's settlement being 74.25. I think that's the most bullish outcome where we rally right off the open, we get above this structure here, and we target the settlement at 74.25. Again, we're going to be taking our scales along the way. We're going to be protecting those accounts. We're going to practice some good money management, some good discipline. All right, but that's a solid opportunity there in that idea, simply because the state of the overnight inventory, which we will get into after we cover the R4 trade ideas. All right, so that covers the most bullish argument. Let's go into the most bearish argument. Okay, so say we're opening here 73.85 and price breaks through. Now, in order for it to be really bearish, we know, right? The ES love, if it's really truly bearish, we're going to see it's a hot knife through butter, right? It's going to break. It's going to get lower. We're going to be looking for to cut through the overnight low. And then on any pullback, right, or any kind of pause in the price action, we're going to see how it behaves around what was the prior overnight low, 73.84. Currently, the overnight low is 73.80. All right, so that gives us a 5-point band, acceptable risk when we're trading ES. And at that point, we're going to be gauging the momentum or the bounce. If that bounce if we bounce off of 73.80, if we get below 73.80, if we trade back up above it or price stalls, but immediately starts down ticking, it cannot breach the prior overnight low at 73.84. At that point, we're going to start looking at short entries, and we're going to be quick on the draw. We're going to look to get short, with our first target being the yesterday's low at 73.73. Now, remember, if we're selling, it's going to happen fast. You have to be vigilant. You have to be on the spot. You have to be paying attention. You have to be focused, because when ES sells, it goes quickly. It's very easy to miss the move. Now, let me just add this caveat, right? If it does move quickly, there's one tactical takeaway that we could take from that is, if you do sell it and you do get a poor fill, or a fill that's far away from your risk marker, at that point, just manage the exit, right? So instead of, if it take your scales quicker be quicker on the exit before price retraces on you, being that it's so far away from your risk marker. Okay, so that's just a little bit about engagement there on a fast break short. All right, so that covers the most bearish argument. If we cut through that overnight low, if we cut through that lower distribution, which we've already reclaimed, which price is trying to reclaim right now, we traded 73.80. Now we're trading 73.85. Okay, so that covers the most bullish argument. We also covered the most bearish argument. Let me get a quick screenshot of that, just so I can review later, and then we'll get into the trap ideas, and maybe even get into a little bit of sideways action. Although today is an S4 day, cycle day 3, I don't think we're going to see that. And what I am seeing is that actually there is potential for it, but we'll get into that in a minute. All right. So let's cover the bullish trap trade. So say price just traded that. We opening here at 73.83, and we get a move higher that gets above this 7,400 to 7,405 distribution area. Okay, if we do get up there and price begins to stall out, let me widen this out a little bit, get a little bit more of bring this zone a little bit better into focus, so that we can really get an idea for how we want to engage here. Hang tight. Let me make sure my time frames are in alignment. Okay. All right. Trading lower now, 73.82. We're talking about the bullish trap trade. Okay, so say price opens 73.82, and we get an immediate open drive higher. Price rallies higher. It's moving fast. We get to 7,400, 7,405, 7,407, 7,410. Then suddenly what happens? It begins to stall out. If price starts to stall, maybe trades as high as 74.10, 74.15, testing this distribution low here. Okay, if we're testing that area and price seems to stall out, let's just frame it at 74.10 to 74.15. If we start to stall out there and we start to see price buyers not engaging, not driving price higher, same thing goes on the bull side, and we start putting in lower highs. At that point, we're going to have to consider that this could be a potential trap trade. And what we're going to do is change our approach. Okay, so we'll get up into that 74.10, 74.05, 74.10 area, and then price starts to retrace. We need to see a break below 74.05. Okay, and at that point, we're going to look for a couple of closes. We're going to look for price to demonstrate acceptance Furthermore, what we're going to look for is price's inability to reclaim the local high that was made on the drive higher. Okay, that's going to be our signal for a potential short trade entry. Okay, so if price comes up and peters out in that 74.05 to 74.10 range, and then starts to move lower, at that point we have to start thinking about the trap trade. We're going to start thinking about short entries. Okay, we're trying to get as close as possible to our exit, and then we're going to manage the day accordingly, and we're going to manage the trade accordingly, taking our scales along the way, and then looking for a test ultimately of the value area low 73.87, then maybe even the overnight low at 73.84. Got it? All right, so that covers the potential bullish trap trade. Let's talk about the potential bearish trap trade, which is one of my favorites. All right, let's dial into the chart here. Let's make sure that we have a little bit of room to draw this out. All right, cool. All right, so we're opening 73.83 and price dips below, selling hard. It moves fast. It seems like it's going to beeline straight for a gap fill 7,300, but instead we reach down into this lower, we reach down below yesterday's low, maybe trade in, let's see, what was that? Hang tight, let me just get a quick look at that here. Yeah. Okay. So say we come down here and price looks below yesterday's low. Okay. And we trade a little bit lower. We trade below it. Everything seems very, very, very bearish. Instead, we spike. We put in a candle wick. Okay. And then we get one of these prints here. Let's just say hypothetically, we get something like this. We get a print like that down here, and then price starts to chop around. It starts to go sideways. Okay, we start to move up, and then it starts doing something like this, right? Where everyone's starting to sell it up here, but it's not getting any lower. They're not getting any further lower. They're not getting any reward for their short entries. Their backs are up against yesterday's low, using that as a risk marker. At that point, we're going to start changing our approach. We're going to start thinking, hey, this could be a trap trade. And we're going to start looking for long entries on the breaks of these local highs, or even maybe back above yesterday's low on the reclaim and re-entry into yesterday's range, and that being above 73, 73.50. Okay. At that point, if we get above 73, 73.50, we could look for a pullback that gets us, that uses those local highs as support, and we can look for a tag of 73.85. All right, team, that's it. That's going to map out the bullish trap trade, the bearish trap trade. We have the most bullish argument, the most bearish argument. Remember, let's write down those opening prints, and let's make sure that we get those on our charts so that we can use those as a fulcrum for the day ahead. Again, we always write down the opening print so that we know, can this day potentially develop into a bullish day? Is this day going to potentially develop into a bearish day? At the end of the day, it's not the ultimate indicator. It doesn't exist. However, it is an idea. By Bo today, I see he just popped in. Let me make sure I have him in my ear. Hey there, Bo. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, guys, gals.
73.80. 650. Okay, 738 down. And if you don't, just make sure you have it on your radar somewhere. It's important. It's important to know where we opened. Let me make sure I have this in alignment. All right, and then guys, I'm going to switch back out to the Ninja Trader charts. Make sure that I have. All right, I don't have the overnight low correct here. Let me make sure I get that. Our overnight low was 73.80, And just to clarify, team, we have to make sure that we write down. We are all day traders, right? So we want to make sure that we always have a good idea of where our day time frame references are. Our day time frame references are the overnight high, the overnight low, yesterday's high, yesterday's low, and we want to know where the market closed and where the market opened. Does that make sense to everyone? Hang tight a second.
Yeah, so what I do on my charts is I use this orange line and I just adjust it for the RTH open. So that way when I make a quick glance at all my charts here, these are all 15-minute charts. So once I've adjusted my opening, I can see, just how weak the YM and Russell are, ES compared to NQ that's getting some bid, right? So it's a easy little thing to do with the opening prints.
What are you looking at today, Bo? You have anything on deck? You have any open positions? What are your thoughts for today?
I'm flat right now, but this is really, really weak price action and big volatility in the bond markets. So if you're not watching those, you should be. We've broken out of these big levels, and 2s, 10s, and 30s are on their lows again this morning. So it's sort of, at some point the market can start paying attention to that in a pretty big way. It already kind of is if you look at the RTY or the YM on the daily chart compared to ES or NQ. They still can just rotate cash into tech, because if they think that that's still an inflationary hedge, then that's sort of makes sense that that's what you're going to see. But yeah, we might have seen our highs for a while. So I also have up until 2 days ago, we had on my sheets, we had 26 days in a row for the NQ of long only trading. And now that's rolled over and become a mixed both sides trade. In ES, it was 24 out of 26, and now it's starting to roll over and show both sides of the trade. So I'll be a little more aggressive with my shorts as I kind of digest the market, digest what's going on here.
A little bit more aggressive. You're typically pretty aggressive with those.
I'll be trading with full size positions.
I'm just messing with you.
Hopefully you don't take it the wrong way. Time to start loading up.
All right. Yep. I like the attitude.
Yeah.
Let's go get them. All right, we're moving lower here, guys. I just have to get these algorithms set up. I want to make sure I get the right accounts going here. Just hang tight. Bear with me. Before we get into any trades, don't want to let the algos run amok. And then guys, there was a concept that I wanted to discuss prior to the open. The overnight inventory. Okay, yeah, it was correct. I kind of wanted to touch on the overnight inventory. Okay, and the reason for that is because we'll just go over it again. The overnight inventory is coming in. It's 100% net. It's 100%. It's more. Let me just make sure I have this right. Okay, the overnight inventory is short. Okay, and we see that the way we extrapolate that is we look at the chart, we kind of get an idea for where the settlement price is, and then at that point, what we want to do is gauge. Okay, if the overnight action, which is this light gray box, if the price is below the settlement, that, and if most of the volume happened below the settlement, then at that point, what we're doing is we're looking at it as a potential. Hey guys, we have a potential look below and fail here on the overnight low. Heads up here. Just make sure that you see this. Crap, I had that set up on my sheet too. Dang it. All right. Dang it. Was hoping to catch that. All right. Anyhow, so when the overnight inventory is leaning in one direction or another, typically what we expect is a counter trend move. Okay. This is a great setup that just transacted right now. Okay, I was really busy getting the algorithm set up, but we just looked below the overnight low at 73.80. We only traded a few contracts at the low. I think at the low, 73.7750. Only 8 contracts came off. There was a delta divergence I'm seeing right here on my screen. And what did price do? It rallied. It rallied hard. Now we're above the open and it's pushing higher. Okay, so framing it out, moving forward for the rest of the day, keep on your radar. The one price that matters below us, 73.7750. It's the only one that matters. On the top side, the prices we discussed before the open. Okay, nothing is more important than 7,400 to 7,410. I know it's a wide band. We could trade up to 7,415. However, it is what it is. That's the price. Use those as your price markers. If you're bearish, consider those levels. If you're bullish, heads up. You want to be alert as we trade into those areas. We're moving higher here. Oh, God, man, what a great setup down there. That's all right. There will be others. But that one just paid out. 73.7750 is the low. I mean, and look at the trade. Look at the trade, team. That trade, it didn't matter where you bought it. You got your scales out. Awesome move. Did any of you catch it? All right, let me know if you did. Let's see. I have a question here. Good morning. Let's see. If yesterday was S2 day, how could today be S4 day per your X update? Shouldn't we have S3 day? Yeah, so I'm not sure what that means. Hey, good morning, Elise. No, today is an S4 day. Let me just make sure I have that right. Okay, just double check. Oh, wait a minute. Thanks, Elise. You're right. I posted the wrong screenshot. Wait, hang on. You are absolutely right. Wait, hang on a second. Let me just get my sheet together. Thanks for the heads up. I appreciate it. Elise, let me make sure that I have this correct. Let me just check my sheet. Okay. I just went off. Today is May 19th. Okay. Correct. Elise is right. Today is S3. Team, cancel that. Let me see. Let's see. What did I post on X? I did post it as S4. Elise, great grab there. Elise gets the prize for the day. Elise, thank you very much for pointing that out. Good job. All right, everyone, I'm going to update X right now. Hang tight. I'm going to update it with today's official. I was admittedly, I was chatting with Renee this morning, and I was late this morning. I got caught in this weird traffic jam, and I had to go run my kid to school. But anyhow, no worries. Today is S3H cycle day 3. I don't have the time to update the visual, but I will. The cycle day is going to be wrong, but the times will be right. So go back to the feed, check those out. Go back to the X. I'm going to post those up on X right now. Just hang tight.
Careful with your longs. There is no bid in the bond markets.
Okay, today is cycle day 3, and I'm going to post the image now. It's going to have the wrong cycle day on it. All right, but just use the execution clock. Great job, Elise. Thank you for that.
So here's what I was looking at. Down sloping 15-minute moving average. I got short 95.25 on the first touch of this. I've covered 2. I've got a third left. Bonds are on their lows. They have no bid. The market needs to adjust. 2s are currently 4.108 yield. 10s are 4.661. 30s are 5.184.
Great grab, Elise. Great grab back up there. That was nice. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right, team. So here, what do we get? Price tried to trade into prior day's value. Okay, yesterday's value area low was 73.95. Let me make sure that this is updated. 73.95. Price tested into value, and on the first touch, it was rejected. Okay, so let's heads up. 73.95 traded. It was rejected. It could not even get as high as 7,400. Immediately was rejected, and it's following. It's trailing down that 9-period moving average. I'm going to have to minimize this. I want to make sure that I am getting my trades off as and make sure that the algorithm is plugged in. This one's not on. I want to make sure that one's on. I'll make sure this one's on. All right. All right. All right. Let's go.
So looking back on the ES, everyone's going to laugh when I say this. The last time the 10-year yield was at this level was around February of 2025. The ES was trading around 6,000.
So we're going to 6,000, Bo?
Well, don't be too don't be too stubborn with the bullish outlook and how close we are to the all-time highs and how much of a raging move this was to the upside, because if things keep going, the market needs to adjust. It's not going to go on like this without some adjustment based on the yields. It's just not going to happen. So wherever that adjustment goes to, we won't know until after the fact. But if we start to get volatile again here, we could be trading in 120, 150 point ranges again, and we could be retesting the big figure 7,000 level in a couple of days. And if we get back down there quickly, then you have to kind of just ask yourself, will those previous breakout levels hold? And what's happening with yields at that point? And, how much trouble is the market in? How much trouble is the Fed in with all of this inflationary stuff? And whatever happens with the war, I mean, we don't know any of that stuff. So it's just something to be aware of and to keep in the back of your head that sometimes these moves can end badly. Often they do. So I don't have any level right here that I'm watching. I don't want to cover my short yet at all. I mean, this thing doesn't feel good to me to wake up and see the yields at their lows and having no bid again. or the bonds at their lows, yields at their highs.
All right, team, we just traded 73. We made a low of 73.70. Yesterday's low is 73.73, and now price is retracing somewhat. Stay alert right here. Okay, watch for the possible reclaim. Stay alert. We want to be alert for a potential reclaim. It is moving fast. All right, so just be mindful of that. It is moving fast. We got to reclaim. Oh, man, I only got one off. Jesus Christ. I got, so I'm looking strategy out, team. Like, I didn't get it right. Looking for 73.90 on it. Dang it. I only got one off. Looking for that. See if we can work higher here. On the reclaim of yesterday's low, have the right OCO strategy loaded here. Let me make sure I get that properly loaded. Dang it. Wait, let me make sure that other one's off too. Ah, dang it. Shit. 73.50 is yesterday's low. God dang it. I just lost it. I just closed it. Oh, man. All right. I just closed it. Unfortunately. I really wanted that long. God dang it. Whoa.
Now look at this formation here on the RTY. It doesn't bode well, I don't think. We'll see if it can hold this level. But I don't expect there to be buyers here. I expect there to be a lot of sellers.
All right, guys, I'm short on the 3000 algorithm. 73.89. I just got the first scale. I got two scales out. I got plus 3 points. I got plus 5 points. Looking for 73.79. Looking for 73.79 on the last. Stops at break even. Welcome to my world. Wait, it's supposed to be 73.79. I've got too much going on here.
We're seeing a little bid come into the bond markets, so that's good. See if it can rally some, stabilize.
Heads up, moving lower. But we just reclaimed again. So some of you might be asking, "Hey, so why is Manny saying we reclaimed yesterday's low? He was long, and then now he's saying he's short." Well, here's the simple thing, guys. I'm running a few different algorithms, auto execution strategies that are pre-code. They are executed based on a set of rules, and they just operate in a separate account. They trade on their own autonomously, and then my trades that I execute via point and click are the ones that I put out on my X feed. So on any given time, I just got stopped out at break even on the last. So I got +3, +5 on that, and then we came really close to the third target. Okay, so then so I'm running 3 different algorithms and then my planned trades, and that's pretty much how I encompass the day. That's pretty much my approach for the day. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I want, in the full interest of full transparency, I prefer to be long, to be 100% honest with you. I wanted to be long on the reclaim of yesterday's low. As for my rules, that's pretty much a my standard setups, reclaims, and it was, let's see, what was that? Yep. So you can see that would be setup number 7. Drop a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're trading. How do you see this market? You see us going lower, higher? I know Bo's looking for lower prices on the day. He's looking
bids in Amazon starting to go bid a little bit. Let's see if it can rally back up to its open.
All right, price looks like it's working its way back up to our intraday high is 73.96. Price looks like it wants to retest up there. See if there's anybody home. Again, we have our upside references team. We know what we're looking for up there. So stay alert. If we get up there, make sure you know what make sure you know what you want to see. Okay, we framed it out before the open. 74.05. It's a wide band, right? 74.05. It's taking us way up to 74.10. Chart to show you this. We're alignment with the day's dominant forces, and we always want to make sure that we're framing it out and taking trades that make sense. Kind of we're being respectful of that process. Okay, so look, we opened at 73.8650. We made a high. We made a high of 73.96. Now we've traded through the open. We're back above the initial early high that was made upon the open. All right. Now we're testing VWAP, but we're getting close, right? This is lower high territory. So stay alert right here. Okay. Stay alert. Summing up to 74.05. We framed out the need for the bulls, right? Bulls want to see us get above 74.05. They want to see us get into that 74.10 zone, right? For that squeeze even a 74.25. All right. So if it's going to reject, then we're going to trade. That's the area to be mindful of. Let's see what happens here. Also be on alert for any potential higher low. Right, 15-minute print. That's always fun, especially for traders that love to trade the open. That's really exciting. And if you're following the execution clock, you know what we're looking for here. So I'm thankful, Lisa, again for that heads up, right? Thanks again for the heads up on that because, yeah, for sure, I definitely had that wrong. So appreciate you. Appreciate your support. All right, so we traded up to 74.02, okay, and now price is retracing. All right, very volatile here, very, very volatile. Stay calm.
This is your good entry spot to get long if you want to be long.
Yeah, and look at
the 90.
Okay, so I've got long here on the CCI crossover. It's got me long at 73.96. All right,
Nice.
and we're looking. Yep, thanks, bro. We're looking for 401 for a 5-point scale on that. So hopefully we can get that. Is very volatile, moving very fast. The ATA, the algo is really on here, and it's handling business. See if we can get up there. Come on, push. Let's go. It's been a really fun couple of days here. If you guys have been joining us on the chat, joining us on the stream, getting a pullback here. No, you're going the wrong way. Stop. Turn around. Go the other way. That's not the right way. Crap. All right, I might take a stop there. I might take a stop. Thought I had it. It looked like it was. We're going to get a read of the internals too. I think that's important. All right, so on the internals, we're
in 1 minute. Pending home sale.
Hey, heads up, guys. Bo just alerted us. We have pending home sales in 1 minute. Thanks, Bo.
Yes, sir.
Looks like I might take a stop on this. I had a pending home sales. That sucks. That sucks. But man, yep, taking a stop. Oh, narrow miss there. Narrow miss. Yep, writing on the wall on that one. All right. Yep, I'm out. I'm out. I've got stopped out on that one. Very volatile market, guys. Very volatile tape. All right. So be careful out there. You can see I just took that stop out. We're back to testing the open 73, 86.50, and price is now back below it. Yeah, very volatile, extremely volatile here. Extremely volatile. Really whippy here. I'm going to go ahead and park all of these and make sure that they are not, that we don't get any, that we don't have a algo run amok situation again, like we did last couple of days ago. And yeah.
RTY.
Very volatile here. Price is just whipping around. It's just whipping around.
RTY eyeing lows again here.
Pending home sales coming out. I'll let you guys. I'll feed you guys it when we know. I'll let you guys know what we have when we get it, when we see it, when we hear it. We're moving lower though.
It's already out.
Okay.
Yeah, month over month, 1.4, a little worse than expected. Year over year, 3.2, a lot better than expected.
Super volatile on this 30 point first 15-minute candle, man. That's wild. That's pretty big. I'm going ahead and switching out to MES on this type of price action, simply because I did not like the way that stop out felt. In fact, I'm going to switch over the charts to Bo. I'm going to go ahead and take a stop loss protocol. I'm going to step away here for a few minutes, gang. Team, I'm going to leave you with Bo. Bo, you have the helm. Make sure the folks are staying on the right side of stuff. I'll be right back.
All right, buddy.
Yep. I just want to make sure I'm getting all these algos off. I'm off of the I'm muted on social, so okay. All right.
Got short a couple at 86.5. I've covered one. Just going to see if NQ breaks and goes ripping through the lows here. NVIDIA's eyeing lows. They could sweep it pretty hard. Yes, algo magic. No stops go untouched, right? Oh gosh, that's what D-Boy used to always say, right? No stops go untouched. RTY made a new low. NVIDIA looks like it wants to break. Tesla trading 396 has been straight down. Google's trying to go bid, but Amazon not looking great. There's NQ testing its low. Nvidia made a new low. I want to see a close below this 72.5 level, and then I'll move my stop again. All right, now I don't really want it to go back up into this range, so I've got my stop moved to 76.5. Now basically this long bar should not be tested in terms of the 50% retrace, and they shouldn't really test back above the low of the bar previous to it. So I mean, if they do, they do. I'll get shaken out. But that's kind of my system, is to be able to just have a systematic way of locking profits. This is a small trade. I wish I had loaded up on that one, but you can see it better here where my stop is. I got short on this. You know, basically it failed again there, broke the low, came back up, ran, you know, that was a little false breakout then back above the open. So a lot of times that'll happen. You know, you talk about look below and fail kind of setups. It's the same kind of setup you can use with the opening price, is that, you know, once people get short below the open, then if it moves your direction, then the natural instinct is to put your stop just above that opening print. And that's all they did, was they came right up to that moving average and rejected hard, right? So now, again, I'm hoping to get lucky that they actually sweep this and keep going lower. I don't really want to see it go back up into this range. So if I really wanted to be technical about it, I should probably have my stop up here at like 81.5. But this is just part of my process. My protocol is that if I get a runner with 12 points or more, then I lock 8 points of that. And I just hope that right now this thing just collapses, and that this is the pivot that they really sell hard. And we'll see how that pans out, right? The bond markets tried to go bid, and then they sort of started stalling out and rejecting. And, you know, meanwhile, you had a little flush with crude back below its RTH low, but then it's quickly reclaimed and gotten back up towards its opening price. So this still could just be a range bound little bit here for the next 20 minutes. And I easily could get stopped out of this. And I kind of expect to, really, but when things can collapse, then sometimes they can collapse really hard, and see what happens. But there, I'm flat. I got stopped out at 76.5. Locked in whatever that was. Now this is probably where I should have just been adding to it, right? Because if they reject it here, it could go really hard. That's what it looks like it wants to do. But I don't worry about that. If I have another chance to get in, then I get back in. And yeah, it's whippy. It's been this way the last couple days, and that's, to me, it's been a little precursor. You know, the VIX is not that elevated, and we've had some higher volume as we've kind of come off those all-time highs. You know, we could just continue to build volatility and expand ranges, and that sort of thing. But I don't know, being short is so hard when it hasn't followed through, just like that. Like you really expect the sellers to come in there, and then when they don't, you have to respect that there's still a lot of cash out on the sidelines. The rotations happen, and that's what can help kind of keep things afloat up here, is that there's just, even if bond yields start to go crazy to the upside, that's almost like, well, what do you do with that cash? You kind of have to be chasing yield somewhere, somehow. And so the rotations are going to happen. There's too much cash in the world these days. So if I don't get my follow through, no big deal. Who knows? Maybe we go back up, take out the open, put in another pivot low and go ripping higher. I mean, I don't know, but I'm watching these three bond markets because they're eyeing their lows again. So, watch that closely. If they all break, then how does the market react?
All right, heads up. We're back testing the overnight low. Overnight low is 73.80. We just came up to it. We just tested, and now we're coming back to yesterday's low, 73.73. Let's see if that holds as resistance. That's going to be the resistance marker we want to keep an eye on here. Classic setup, right? We look below the overnight low. This is the setup that we framed out in the pre-market. So we want to make sure that we're, respecting that process and sticking to the theme there. That's the one that we got, that we said the most bearish outcome, right? So we're moving lower off of that, looking for 60, looks like 67 is the low. It's looking to retest 67. See if we can get down there. Let's see if price wants to retest that low. Looking for 65.50. $63.50 actually, $63.50. Oh dang, I should have got something to drink. What are our ticks doing? What are our internals doing? Ticks and internals are confirming the move lower, the liquidation break lower. Remember, we have our downside references also. We map those out in the pre-market. We have our higher time frame analysis. Price looks like it's going to beeline for those levels here. We'll see what happens. Really exciting market this morning. Great price action. I mean, when you have a 15-minute, when your first 15-minute print is the 30-point print, it's always fun. Always sets up an exciting, a potentially exciting day. I mean, that could work both ways, though, right? Unable again on the retest. Come on, baby. Feel me.
New lows and bonds here. We're testing lows.
It's always that last tick. All right, got it, guys. I'm filled. Plus 10 points on the retest of the overnight low setup that we outlined in the pre-market. Looking for some follow through. Obviously, we're looking for some lower prices. Gotta go ahead and protect here. It's really fast this morning. Prices are whipping around. You got to be quick. Love the ATAs on days like this. Love the algo on days like this. Be right back. Looking for that 58.50 on the low side, 58.50. That order doesn't really align with my OCOs. I don't think I had the right OCO loaded, but whatever. We'll just manage it dynamically. Okay. I'm just going to manage it dynamically. Take a look around here, what I have. And there's a reason for that why I want to exit there. I have a potential support that I'm coming into that area. And so I want to make sure that I'm getting out well ahead of that. Yes. So Nish asks, man, your bull target below is 53.49. Not a bull target, Nish. It's actually a support zone. So if you can see, the support zone is 53 to 49. I'm looking for that to be a potential support zone. So if price gets down there, I'm going to assess the price action, right? Obviously, on a day like today where price is moving pretty quickly, we're selling off hot knife through butter. We never want to get in front and play a knife catch. But what I do want to do is I want to be out well ahead of that. Okay, you can see we're kind of bouncing around. These days are not really. It's not easy to hold trades, but you just got to stick to process. You got to develop that skill. You got to just hold on to it. Make sure that you don't overclick. But yeah, so that's a potential niche. That's setup number one. That's a support zone 53 to 49. It's a 4-point band. We'll see. We'll assess when price gets down there. We'll see what it looks like. Again, 72, 62. This one should be 57. This cover should be 57 for 15 points. I'm not sure why it's at 58.50, but all right, I got it. Got the 13 points, team. Got the 13 points. Happy about that. Yes. All right, Nish, you got that? Cool. Got it. All right. Let me know if you have any other questions. You guys checking in on socials, YouTube, X. Let me know if you have any questions. Go check out the feed. I put out a ton of stuff there this morning at Manny_trends. We're tracking if you're just joining us, we're tracking the ES pre-market. We outlined the potentially a bearish setup. Okay, so we were looking for price to trade lower. If it would demonstrate some acceptance below the yesterday's low, below the overnight low, we were going to look for pullbacks to the overnight low, in which we were going to enter short trades. That's the short trade I just executed right here. Let me know if you have any questions. Yes, niche support. Yep. So a few minutes ago when I stepped away, team, I stepped away for stop loss protocol. If you don't know what stop loss protocol is, stop loss protocol is when it's a tool that I've developed. It's something I use with some of the traders that I work with. And basically, what stop loss protocol is we try to get into the understanding of how emotions affect our trading. Okay, and stop loss protocol is this. It's called SLP. Stop loss protocol is if you have a stop that you feel affects you. Now you have to be responsible enough, right? You have to put your big boy pants on, your big girl pants on, and you have to be responsible for yourself. Okay, so if you see that you take a position and that position affects you in a negative way, where it's bothering you in some sort of a way, so let's frame out, what is a trade that doesn't bother you? Well, a trade that doesn't bother you is a trade that doesn't work out in your expected, what you expected. Okay, and that trade that doesn't work out as you expected, if you handle that as okay, that's just the outcome of the edge that didn't work. I know that my edge doesn't work 10 out of 10 times. This is one of those times it didn't work. I'm okay with it. I'll move on to the next trade. Well, there's often times in trading where it doesn't work out that way, right? Where I know that I just need 5 out of 10 trades to be successful in order for me to execute my strategy. I also know that I'm going to have stop outs. It's a part of the business, but nonetheless, we have stop outs that affect us negatively. Okay, so we have to identify that. We can't run from it. We have to accept it. We have to run towards that. Okay, and what we do is we run towards it by acknowledging our feelings and saying, hey, that sucked. That was brutal. I did not want that to happen. At that point, what we do is we stand up, get away from the screens, get away from our desk. And that doesn't mean, stand 2 feet away. That doesn't mean stand, even 10 feet away and look at our phones, right? And look at our price action on our phone. That means stand up, walk away, do yourself a service, step away from the screen, okay? Reevaluate. So for me, for instance, I just went into stop loss protocol. I stepped outside. I live in sunny South Tampa, Florida. It is beautiful outside. I went outside and I just was, I stepped into the sun. I was told myself life is really good. One stop out shouldn't be bothering me. It bothered me nonetheless. But that moment of stepping away gave me that a few minutes of clarity, and coming back and sitting down again, if at the minimum it prevents you from having a reactionary, impulsive revenge trade, then that's great. But it also will wash you over with this feeling of a reset. Like, okay, I'm back in it again. Like I'm ready to go back and assess what is my next trade. What does my strategy dictate? What's my process tell me? So that's a little bit more about stop loss protocol. Just wanted to share that with you all. That's why I stepped away. I have an algorithm trade going on here short. All right, I just noticed it was executed in the back while I was explaining stop loss protocol, and that has me short at 73.61. Okay, and it's looking for. I gotta fix this one. This one is not right. It should be looking for 71.56. It should be looking for 5 points, and then it should be looking for 10 points. Yeah. I'm not crazy about that one because of just what I saw in the price action, but I have to let these kind of play out. I have to let them, I have to not get in the way. They're pre-designed strategy. Oh, no, don't do that. Looks like this one's going to get stopped out as well. Let me know what you guys do. If you're not in a trade right now and you have a couple of minutes to chat, let me know what kind of tools do you have to help you when you're feeling uncomfortable. Bo, what do you use? Do you have anything that kind of like helps you reset throughout the day? We trade in the intraday time frame. There's a lot going on. What works for you?
Oh, I like what you're saying. The stop loss protocol is absolutely, a good thing to use, and getting away from the screens, absolutely. It really can help. So I kind of do the same thing. I'll take little breaks. I'll go on walks, walk around the neighborhood.
Okay.
It's a little wet and rainy today. Tomorrow I'm going on vacation. We're heading up to Yellowstone for
Sounds like fun.
about 4 days. So
yeah, we're thinking about going up to Tahoe.
Nice.
For summer, for summer break. So we used to go. We used to travel abroad, but now with the kids, and then you waste 2 days traveling. So we really want to stay here in the U.S. And so another thing is we also gone to a bunch of islands and stuff, and islands are always fun. Like we're also thinking about, since we're a big baseball family, we're thinking about going to Dominican Republic and just donating a bunch of gear down there to the less fortunate, and spending some time there with folks. But then being from Florida, sunshine is kind of what we have here. Like we're at the beach constantly. It's kind of not, I wouldn't say old news, but it's we're used to it. So we're kind of thinking about, okay, what else can we do? And so me and my wife and I were talking about, she's been to Tahoe, she understands how beautiful it is, and we're thinking about maybe getting back out there again, and getting her back out there again, taking the kids out there. And you may not know this about me, and just because I haven't gotten a lot of it in, is I am a big fan of hiking. I'm
Nice.
I'm really novice, but you'll probably appreciate this, right? It's about being, when you're out in nature that way, the way it affects you, the lack of noise, the lack of billboards, street lights, car lights, horns. It's so serene. It resets you. It's really special. And that's why I really enjoy being out in nature. It's really, yeah, it's like few other things. When I was living up north, I used to go up quite a bit. We used to take these rides to upstate New York. We used to also go to Bear Mountain. We used to go to Vermont, New Hampshire. Quite beautiful up there.
Nice.
So we want to expose the kids to that. It's really, really, really beautiful. So we're thinking about going up there, like framing it as a hiking trip.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's we were just talking about that this morning, actually. It's like, oh, I'm on with Bo today. He's gonna appreciate that. All right, team, we're moving back down. Prices chopping around here at the lows. Again, we've had some. We stuck to the process. We had that short trade that we outlined pre-market, right? We were looking for that retail. Here, let's frame it out. Let's just review the trade. Let's review the setup. We'll review what we said. We'll review the entry. All right, so let me just bring up a screenshot of what that was. Okay, hang tight. All right, so team, here. This is an image of what we kind of discussed pre-market. Okay, so we said that if, oh, that's a little too big. All right. So we're going to we each morning we always frame out the most bullish outcome, the most bearish outcome. If you're joining us here today for the first time, we have a process here. We stick to the process. We want to always follow trades that are repeatable, so that we can be consistent in our returns. And so what I want to bring your attention to is, so each morning I outline the bullish outcome is on the left. Okay, let me just blow this out a little bit more, since I'm not in a trade. If you're in a trade, manage your position. But I just want to quickly review this more, because I haven't done the best job of reviewing trades, and I think that that's important. For me, trades always following what I call a logic chain. Like if this, then that. So on the right-hand chart here, what you're seeing is how we outlined the morning, what we wanted to see in order to trade short. So we said that if price came lower and tested lower, demonstrated some acceptance, pulled back up to the overnight low, that we were going to entertain short ideas and target lower prices. that was the predefined setup. All right, and then what ended up transpiring here, we're going to go back. This was the screenshot of that setup, and then here you could see on this chart, we got, so initially we had the liquidation break, right, but it didn't show any acceptance, right? How do we gauge if price is showing acceptance below an area? All right, what we do is we monitor for closes. We always say we want to see price demonstrate some acceptance by closing below the area. It did not do that. First, it bounced off yesterday's low, and then it tested below, but immediately traded higher. Okay, so that was the tell right there. Okay, so maybe we didn't initiate it here on these tests, right? What we did was we waited. Then following, we got the big strong liquidation break, right? A reject. We price showed the inability to make a higher high. We knew that on the bullish side, what we wanted to see was price break above 74.05 to 74.10. That didn't happen. Price came, it put in a lower high, and then it broke. Okay, once we on this bar here at 10:05, this is a 5-minute chart. Price broke below all the levels decisively, broke below the overnight low, broke below and closed below yesterday's low. At that point is when I alerted everyone, said, hey, we have to be on alert here. We said we were looking for a pullback to the overnight low. We pulled up, we tested it. We think we traded at a high of 73. We didn't test it. It didn't print exactly. I think we tested as high as 73, 78. I thought it was 73, 77. We traded 73, 77. The 5-minute bar printed a wick. I entered short there, and we took our scale targets on the way down. So just wanted to review that setup with you all. Hopefully you guys caught some of that. If you didn't, don't worry about it. Another setup is right around the corner, and we can go into that now in just a bit. Let's just watch this next 5-minute wick here. Yeah. Okay, thanks. So Bruce says in our private community, that's helpful. Yeah, sorry, Bruce, I've been, each day I'm trying to improve and add more value to it. And I'm going back and reviewing, the most bullish argument, the most bearish argument. And I go back and I review those to see if they transpired, to see what worked out, what didn't. So that this way I'm giving the team accurate information and trades that work, right? If I'm not helping you make money, what's the point of it? And so what I realized was, not hubris, just facts, is that, on many different days, the pre-market, prep trades were playing out throughout the day. But I just wasn't reviewing them the next day. And that kind of helped people understand the setup in review, and also gives you more confidence the next time you see it. When we see it over and over and over again, that kind of gives us conviction to get into the trade and take the risk, because we know we're familiar with it. And so, I'll continue to do that. I want to do a better job of reviewing what we said the prior day. And just heads up, quick programming note, we have a new team member called Renee. He's helping out. He's helping out in the background. Renee's a great guy, just really, really positive guy. Really happy to have him on the team. He's helping us out. And that's going to help us, allow me to, I'm making one change in my personal life. So I'm trying to get on. Currently, I go live at 9:10. I'm going to try to get on a little bit earlier than that. I'm going to try to come on maybe as early as 9 o'clock, maybe even a quarter to 9 o'clock, just so I can review what we said before and kind of give a better, more holistic analysis, instead of having the opening bell ring while we're going over our final scenario. So just want to give everybody an update on that. All right, let's get back to the execution. I'm flat right now. I don't have anything on, but what we're seeing here is clearly, right, price struggling. Bulls are struggling to gain any traction here. All right, so let's map this out, right? So this algorithm would have me short 73, 74. I'm not in love with that trade, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so right now, currently, volume weighted average price resides at 73.78. Now, let me just explain to you folks what the volume weighted average price is. Hang tight. Okay, let me just sorry, quick. Um, Let me just launch this. Okay, so the volume weighted. Sorry about that, guys. The volume weighted average price is literally is the average price of the of is a, how do I say it? Is basically the average price traded throughout the day, right? So the formula is they take the volume and then they divide it. They do some mathematical formula with the price, and it's basically the average price based on the volume of the day. So think about it as like a fair value for the day, right? That's the fairest price to do business on ES for today. And for today, that price resides at 73.78. Now, um, generally, if you're below VWAP, you're thinking bearish. If you're above it, you're thinking bullish. Um, Institutions use it as a key reference for the fair value and for the trend of the day. So it's definitely a price that a lot of people have on their radar. And the reason why I don't want to get short down here on this algorithm, I don't want to let it execute that trade, is because we are very far away from the volume weighted average price. And one of the characteristics of volume weighted average price is that it tends to act as a magnet. Okay, it's rare the day that price does not test the volume weighted average price. Okay, so just a little quick explanation on that. Just a quick explanation on that. It tends to act like a magnet. You can see we're kind of balancing out down here, right? So I want to see if price, even though we can tell here that buyers are sellers, bears are definitely in control, right? We're below the volume weighted average price. We're below the open. We've made a higher low on our highest price today is a lower high. Okay, so all those things matter. And so generally, we know that sellers are in control, and so we want to make sure that, at least for the most part, that we are trading in alignment with those with the dominant forces of the day. What are you seeing, Bo? What you got going on? Talk to me. What do you got?
I'm seeing some bid come into NVIDIA, so careful here if you're short. They're recapturing this 220 level. This could get some squeeze action going. We have a reversal signal developed on a 1-minute chart.
Yep, you can see we're starting to work our way up there. So let's wait for price to get up there, and then if it does, then at that point we can, what we'll do, we'll reassess again. We'll try to gauge see if what kind of strength and momentum we get there with. Does price, blast right through the volume weighted average price, or does it stall? Does it start to move more slowly? And then does it start to act as resistance? Do we start to move away from it on the low side or the upside? We'll gauge it when we get there.
Waiting for this 15-minute candle to close. Right now it's developed a 2-bar reversal type of candle on the ES and the NQ. Notice also the YM stayed bid this whole time. It hasn't even gone back down and retested its open once it kind of reclaimed that. I guess it did once, but now it's holding above its open. So this is the pattern. It sells off a little in the first hour, then reverses, moves back up through the open, and we can print a green bar on the day if that's the way it's going to play out. I still think that that's sort of just too heavy with these interest rate issues. So I'm still biased to the short side. Now that you have a rejection of the 73s, you could see this roll back over and continue downtrend as well. But again, the rotations are sort of constant these days. So and you just got to pay attention to what you think might be driving some of the move. If it's crude oil, if it's NVIDIA, if it's Intel, some of these other tech things that got way out of hand to the upside. I don't know. I haven't looked at that stuff lately, but Intel 103.87, I don't know, what did it get to, like 130 bucks?
I didn't excuse me. So Intel has been exploding in volume. Like I've noticed that it's just been really really a hot stock lately, and it kind of seems like it's been popping up on my radar left and right. And then Rich constantly talks about it, so I'm super aware of it there. And yeah, it's I think all those chip stocks have been very, very popular, very, very explosive. Is it back in the news today? What's it? Is it up? Is it down? What's the story there?
It's down 4%. I mean,
okay. Well,
most of these tech names are down. Not most, but right, like Broadcom's down 2.5%, Cisco's down 3%, AMD's down 5.5%, Qualcomm's down 5.5%. And that's what I'm getting at, is that these higher interest rates, they start to become problematic at whatever level they are problematic. And so even if they're not problematic here, if the market starts perceiving that they're still going to go higher, they'll start adjusting to that price ahead of time. They're not going to just wait. Sort of like I've talked about with having for those of you that use wide stops, right? Like you don't have to just wait for your stop to always get hit. If you have a setup, a specific rule and signal for your setups, then you should also kind of know what it looks like when that setup actually fails and isn't doing what you want it to do. And if it stops doing what you want it to do, then it's no big deal to just get out, at less of a loss than like taking a big wide stop, right? because you can always get back in, look for the next trade. But, you know, oftentimes you can scratch a trade. Oftentimes you can get out at a much better price than if you just wait for your big stop loss to get hit. You know, it's one thing. I like the wide stop losses for news events sometimes, because if things aren't trading crazy, then at least you're giving yourself a better chance to see if the trade plays out. Like, compared to me, I use these really tight stops, and like yesterday was a prime example. I was trading scared and tightening my stops even more, and I had a lot of good trades that I just needed to wait like another 30 seconds and the trade would have paid me instead of taking a scratch on it. So I'm not the best at all of this stuff by any means, but just those are some of the things I've learned over the years too. Is like, if you were long here, if you thought this was a reversal trade and that a new trend was forming and that this pullback was the one to buy right here at 67, and that this thing was going to go back up and recapture the open and everything, you know, once it breaks that level and starts to show you this kind of rejection, you don't necessarily have to take your stop down here, or even if you have it lower. You know, now you're getting a little bit of a bounce. You could try to see if you can get out at the 65s or something. Because the long trade is now invalidated again here. It doesn't mean it won't reclaim and turn into that same long trade that we expected might develop here. But, you know, look at the rejection, that level that it hit, right? The 73.5 was yesterday's low. It traded right up there and rejected hard. So, you know, the support becomes resistance. And then when it's resistance and the sellers actually come back in at that level, then you have to understand that there's not a lot of buying there, right? So even if there's not a huge amount of selling, if there's a lack of buyers, this thing can just drop like a stone.
Good stuff there.
Meta rejected and now eyeing lows. We have Microsoft on its lows, Tesla, Amazon, Google pretty much on their lows. The only thing now trying to go bid is Nvidia.
Heads up, we're coming into that support zone, so I'm definitely watching and stalking here. I you know, definitely on these down days, what I don't want to do is I don't want to catch a falling knife. So even though we're down into that area, right, I'm just monitoring it. I'm not you know, the zone is 73.49 to 73.53. So yeah, just watching it, just going to see how it trades. Obviously, we're not there yet, but I just want to give everyone a quick alert. 73.49, 73.53. Definitely time would be good for a time is not good for a long trade, not just yet anyhow. So that's another factor playing into this decision, right? Rather give it some time, let price get down there. I take a look at where we're trading in about 20-25 minutes. See if anything makes sense, if anything pops out at me. I think I'm going to take this indicator off. So heads up, I don't use this indicator, but I just don't know how to look at charts without having something split on them. It's weird. And because we are approaching that support area, I definitely don't want to have the algorithm get me short. So I've just change those both out. I'm going to change this one now to buy only. So if it is going to take a trade, it would be a long trade out of this zone, out of this support zone. Just a little insight there into how I manage them. Going long only on them. And then just waiting for that, waiting for price to get down there and fully satisfy that area. We all know how price loves to, chop around at these support areas, right? Where it kind of like starts to absorb. You can start to see this speaks a lot to what I talk about when we want to see price slow down, right? So we came down, price was selling off pretty fast, but thus far, over the last, I'd say, last hour, we've kind of slowed down. So we're trading 73.60 right now. The first time we traded 73.60 was about 30 minutes, with about 10:20. Okay, so we've now been down here for what, 30 minutes, and price can't get any further, can't go any lower. Starting to stall out. So this is kind of that look I talk about in the pre-market, where we see price kind of stall out. It's always what's worked for me is always trade later in balance areas than earlier, right? Because if say my setup was, I want to be long, what do we trade? 73.59. I want to be long 73.59. I don't, yes, there are some times where that price will trade and then it'll move away. And that's going to be the time that I miss it. But typically what I want to see is price trade there. I want to see how it reacts. And if we're still chopping around there, we're still trading that price. Half an hour later, I know, okay, there's something here. Somebody's home here. We're knocking on the door. The lights are on. And so at that point, I want to start discerning, okay, where's the entry here? How do I get in on this? Is it the right time to get in? Is the support going to hold, or is it just going to continue lower? And that's just a little insight into how I see these areas and how I trade them.
Nice.
73.49, 73.49. Yeah, so yeah, Bo, I don't know if that's ever like happened to you. I used to, I used to draft my plan, right? And then I draft my plan, and then price would get there. I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. I've been waiting. I was patient, waiting for price to get here, and then I would be like the first guy in, right? And then I would get, price would be chopping, and I'd get chopped up, and then I moved past that, where I'd be like, all right, I'm just gonna hold it. I'm gonna respect the stop. Price hasn't really gone anywhere. But then I would sit in this trade that didn't go anywhere for half an hour, and it was brutal. I mean, it was brutal.
Right.
Nobody wants to do that. How much thinking goes on in there? You know how many times you're going to consider if you're wrong?
Yeah.
1,000 times. So I just, I learned, like, all right, and just from watching, all right, it's going to trade there. If it moves away, if it's a V type situation, I'm gonna miss it, and I have to be okay with that. But if not, then I want to see how it acts when it gets there, and so on and so forth. And some more insight nuances. How is price moving higher? Can it move higher? Or is it is it stalling out? I'm not crazy about getting this long. I mean, we're just grinding lower here. It can almost start to seem like the demand in this area is being worn through. It's being absorbed, right? So that's not what I want to see. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just what works for you more consistently over time. Hey, hang tight, team. I just need to run and grab something to drink. I'm really parched right now. Hang tight.
Thing about today is that we're still waiting on NVIDIA tomorrow, right? So you could see NVIDIA's recaptured that 220 level. It's really just in the middle of its range. And the pressure that I'm highlighting in the bond market, again, if you're relating that whole thing to how tech and equities, high growth names have reacted over the last couple months, 6 weeks since the March low or whatever. You know, the interpretation is that they have to own assets, growth assets, high yielding type of investment opportunities in order to stave off potential higher inflation. And so the question is, you know, what companies are vulnerable to that kind of stuff? Well, you can kind of see it pretty obviously, right, with RTY, you know, and you'll see it continue with the consumer and the consumer staples. And, you know, so the question is how long can that stuff sort of hold the market together? And it doesn't have to reverse real hard, like I'm saying, or, you know, it can still just be this kind of rotational thing where, you know, that's how we have to fight inflationary pressures as investors, or as, you know, the big companies are the ones with the cash as well, right? So what are they doing with their cash? We can pay attention to that. But when you get your trades and your entries the way you want them, and then, you know, they just sort of run out of steam, then you want to respect that, because, you know, and you have to ask, why wouldn't we follow through hard to the downside? Well, the market still wants to see what Nvidia has coming out tomorrow. So now that we've had a little pullback in Nvidia, right? Anyone who is short, or anyone who wanted to be more long, you know, they start buying and showing support for the stock going into tomorrow's earnings, then, you know, it's going to be hard for the ES and the NQ to push that much lower. And we could end up with just a nice big range, choppy day the rest of the way. So right now, I'm back on my 1 minute chart. This is back on a long signal, even though my bias is still more towards the short side. My 1 minute chart, you know, we held that level. The NQ made a higher low. The ES reclaimed, right, and now is going to try and test all these stops that exist right above the 75s. You know, and then they've got stops above 80. They've got stops above the open. So, you know, if this is the true reversal, then you can be looking for the pullback, if you get it, back to the 62.25, and you've got a nice, you know, 5 or 6 point stop if you want it. You could even use a 3 or 4 point stop on a trade like that. So it really should not go back and re-violate the low of this bar here at 59.5. That's sort of my controlling bar, the one that, you know, we put in a little 1, 2, 3, and then there's the breakout bar with a little bit of volume coming in, some nice sort of program buy side activity, and that corresponds with the up move in Nvidia. So I'll be looking to buy this if we get a pullback back to the 62.25. I'll be looking to go long. And what I'm simultaneously watching is for the bond markets to just stabilize. If they can go bid a little bit and just kind of stabilize, then, you know, great, because you just don't want to see these things collapse like crazy. You know, you need to see the support come in. Otherwise, yeah, it could be indicating some much bigger move that we're in the process of. So definitely watch the bond markets. Looks like we didn't get that pullback all the way down to 62 and a quarter. So now, you know, as we break 75, just how much buying is going to come in? How many shorts are going to have to cover? How many longs are going to start chasing? Will there be real buyers above that level or not? If you feel like you're going to miss it, you can take the long entry with a buy stop and just, you know, you've got plenty of upside room there. If this thing starts squeezing, you know, to take some legs off as it moves back towards the open and then through the open. Uh, um, you know, and so the whole thing is just make sure that if instead it rejects, if it prints 75 down into this range here, and then they can sweep and start in on, you know, the next leg of a continuation pattern lower.
That's great insight, Bo.
Thanks.
So I had this algo on long only. It just narrowly missed that entry. Unbelievable. But whatever.
Where was it trying to get long?
It should have got me long at 73, 66, 50. It traded 73, 66, 75. It's fantastic. But with one of the benefits that I have, that you know, algorithms that I'm sorry, in that, you know, prior I was unable to, you know, before prop firm accounts, you know, I was beholden to one trading strategy. And now, you know, I'm trading four different I'm trading four different today I'm trading 3 algorithms, right? And that's a great expand my exposure with a fixed risk amount. So I know that my risk is the cost of the evaluation, and then once I pass it, that account theoretically has an infinite amount of return. And so most prop firms, you know, most traders think prop firms are about leverage. I actually think they're more about risk mitigation, right? So I'm different personal accounts for 4 different strategies have a fixed exposure rate because my exposure is literally only the cost of the evaluation. It's very similar to an option, right? So say you buy, say at 70 at 75.40, you know, you bought a, let's just say a 6,000 put, and say the market, you know that your cost of that option is fixed, right? It's never going to go. It's never going to go down. So so that your risk is defined by that. That is a lot of what prop firms are about. Okay, let me just see here. Yeah, so Bruce points out that's a bit tricky as algos may trade in different directions. Good observation. I've gotten into trouble with that. Obviously, I've had them trade in opposite directions. All right, guys, they got me long at that. I got that fill here. Let's see what happens on this trade, 73.67. Yeah, so that's something that we have to be careful with, right? If they start trading in different directions, you can risk losing that account, losing that prop firm. You have to make sure that you pay attention. That's why it's been really, really challenging for me to keep up with the stream, to keep up with the algorithms. And there have been a time where I've been streaming and I had them trading in opposite directions. So it's only when I'm trading, with one house and they trade in opposite directions. Sometimes, I'm trading a pip. Right now, I'm just trading my Pitbull accounts, and those need to trade in the same direction. So I have all in alignment on the long side. I explained to you guys why I didn't want to trade short from the lows. So I got that fill there. I got the first target off, heads up. I got that 73.67 fill, and I got the first target off for 3 points. This is a smaller algorithm. I'm looking for 3, 5, and 3, 5, and 10 points on it. Again, this algorithm is configured to trade an account that has a trailing drawdown. So I want to take my profit really quickly. I don't want to sit through a drawdown. I don't want to let that trailing drawdown get hit. And so that's why these targets are a little bit tighter. I'm willing to take the base hits on these. And so I just want to explain it. Got the second target plus 5 points on that one. Looking for the final target. Looking for that final target up there at 73, 77.50. And so, yeah. So, you have to be careful. Obviously, you have to pay attention to them because, you definitely don't want to lose your account if you're trading in the opposite direction. For some reason, I have this one. I have to just switch out this account number to give you guys a better view of it. Okay. So here's the trade. Okay. I'm long 73.67.50, looking for 73.77.50 on that. Let's see if I run into trouble anywhere on that one. Let's see if I run into trouble. Why am I repeating everything? 377.50. We have a fair value. Let's see, where's that? It looks like we have a fair value gap up here. Let's blow this out to the 15-minute. I hope it doesn't hit that target while I'm looking. No. Oh, we don't have a fair value gap. So instead, I want to. Okay, so it's 11. It's 10 after 11. So yeah, I want to. If I get that target, I'm not extending that target higher. Even though we are trying to reclaim yesterday's low of 73. Oh man, maybe I'll stretch a little bit. No, nope. I don't want to sit through a drawdown. 73, 77.50. Looking for that. Anna just posted, Trump just finished speaking. Okay, good. So let the markets tank now. Oh, no. Wait, the market's going to rally. Right? That's. Did you guys see that? Personal trading accounts are. His personal trading accounts have traded more in 2026 alone than they did in like the last 3 years. Isn't that wild? President of the United States is executing. I want he should come trade with Pitbull traders. We'll fund him. He should come buy an evaluation with us. I'm sure he'll pass it. Hey Tom, Tom will land the floor laughing. I thought about you, Tom, the other day because You had mentioned about, I think you made a comment about having pitbull traders, mentioned having pitbull traders fund or support our one of my teams. And so I took this picture. I want to share it with you. Hang tight. I think that might be a little too big. I took this picture. When he says his algo is cooking, Jesus, right? Can you imagine that? I want to get that algo. That one's got to be something else, right? What kind of algo does the president trade with? That's got to be sick. Really? Did I get the target? Nope. No love on the target yet. All right. So, hey, Tom, this one's for you. Tom is in our private community. Tom's a good trader. You know, if you're ready for them, I look. You don't hear me complaining. I have no political lean. For me, not while I'm streaming. You're going to have something to react to. That's that.
Here we go.
Yeah. All right. Looking at 73, 77, 50 for that 10-point target. Come on, let's go. Fill me. Dang it. 2-tick miss. Brutal. It'll fill me. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. That works both ways, though. That's hurt me, and that's worked for me. I don't like fiddling with my orders. I don't like fiddling with my orders. It's tough. Those last couple of ticks, you know, I tend to like. What I will look at is the delta divergence tool. If I see a delta divergence, then I have a evidence-based exit, right? I can justify it. I don't want to exit a trade just because my emotions are, because I'm hot under the collar. Always trying to execute as close to, all right, got it, filled. 10 points on that one, guys, nice. Team. So, yep, got that fill up there. Beautiful. Very happy about that. Very happy about that. Yeah, so I don't like to fiddle with my orders because I in my opinion, it hurts me more than it helps me. Plus, I just, you know, I trained on trading. So I trained on how to hold a trade, and I went through a specific period where I just had to get into a trade, one lot in and out. I go over this now with I'm coaching 2 traders right now, and this is kind of like the phase that we're at. We're kind of building up that muscle memory, to taking a lot of the concepts that I use in coaching my baseball team, and I'm using them to applying it to trading, because so many of the concepts overlap. And so, you know, most bad trading isn't analysis failure. It's inability to understand and work with your emotions. You can't avoid, you know, oh, put your emotions away. Okay, fine, try it. No, you have to understand that they're there. There has to be an understanding, and they have to have some tools to work around them. You don't. I don't think that you know. I don't think that anyone can not have emotions. We're human. So I say, don't avoid your emotions. Let's go more into them. Let's understand why that's happening, and then we have to, put on our big boy pants and take some steps to act in our own best interest. And we do that through a lot of repetition. We go through it over and over and over again. So we repeat the same scenarios over and over again, and we try to just callous that memory, callous that mind to be able to move past those occurrences. And then when you're in the live market, you have kind of a mental reference of being hot under the collar and not touching that order, or not executing that revenge trade. Or what we do is, we get up and we walk away. We use stop loss protocol. We also have a PWE tool that's called post win euphoria. It's often the case that after a winning trade, we feel like we can do no wrong. And so we have to understand that that's going to happen to us, and we have to have a plan for that. We have to have a tool for it. So, sorry, I kind of floated off on a tangent about that stuff, but I just wanted to share with your trading.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had that earlier. I'm just going to quick recap. I had that stop out. I think I'm pretty sure I lost 8 or 9 points on it. That was the one where I stepped away. I went into stop loss protocol and I stepped away. Did the right thing there. I came back, and since then I've been able to recoup those losses and go green a bit. Real quick, Anna says I mentioned bad habits, holding on to losers, as 90% do come back, but the 10% ones that don't, the ones can seriously decimate your account. And so easy to adopt the attitude of closing winning trades as a profit is a profit. Yeah. Holding on to losers is tough because often while they generally do come back, I would agree with that. It also removes you from improving upon that process later on because you just held on to it. And like you said, it only takes that one, depending on the size of your account and your position, there could be one occurrence that puts you out of business. And that's always, again, that's why prop firms are good, right? They kind of come in with a rule set built, a rule set built in that help you be a little bit more disciplined.
Okay, pretty hard rejection there off the opening print on the NQ. So see if they just sweep it now back to new lows. They could start, if a selling program comes in right here, it could be the start of a big measured move to the downside.
And we know if you got if you guys are in the pit, if you're following the execution clock that I post on my feed every day, you understand what time it is. We are in that window right now. So heads up, pay attention to that. We are opening up a new window. I've been confused all day about I came into today thinking it was an S4 day, and it wasn't. Thank God someone on social media, someone alerted me to it being an S3 day. But anyway, all right, team. That's going to call it for me for today. The party always continues in the pit. If you people checking in on socials, on X, on YouTube, I'm enjoying the private community party. That's where the party always continues there. But we're gonna have to wrap. I'm gonna have to wrap it up for today. I think Bo's gonna stay on in the community here. So if you got anything out of this at all, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe button. If you want to go, let's see. Anna says it's a dangerous market though, Manny. One tweet away from crazy swings. Yep. I think I covered that one already. If you have any questions at all, you can email me, Manny@pitbulltraders.com, as well as find me on X at Manny_trends.
Nice.
All right, team. So we'll check back in later this afternoon. Remember, react, don't predict, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate the support.